Hi, this is Dr. Ben Morrill. Welcome to episode 58 of Reptile Genetics Weekly. Glad to have you here. And as always, we'll start out with updates for testing that's going this week. We have fast testing for everything but Russo. Either by the end of this week or sometime next week, we should have that as well. And then everything we have a test for, we'll be able to do as a fast test. So we're almost there. So fast test results will be going out every day this week. And then those of you getting panels, those are running right now. So, actually I'm analyzing. I just got it this morning. So I'm analyzing right now. So I would imagine the soonest that those would be available would be tomorrow night, but probably sometime on Thursday is more likely. And then once again, for sex determination, we're doing those a couple times a week. So in most cases, you'll have about a 5 business day wait till we'll have sex determination results for you. Some of those will go out today, I believe, and then we'll go out again on probably Thursday or Friday, something like that. So that's what we have for updates. Kayla, how are you doing?
Hey, Ben, I'm doing great. Actually, I'm over the moon. My very first clutch ever has hatched, and I'm so happy. It
I
wasn't my...
Oh,
sorry, go
remember
ahead.
that time like it was yesterday. That was 2003 for me. It was a ball python clutch. But yeah.
Do you still have anybody from that first clutch you produced?
No, unfortunately, I don't.
That's okay. But yeah, I threw in a couple pictures here. We have that first little pip of a lightning western rat snake, or just black rat snake, depending who you ask. So I've got one het and 3 lightnings that came out, and they're just so sweet and curious. Sometimes they come out of the egg ready to like throw hands immediately, but these guys are just so darling and curious. One was a late hatch, and he or she came out with a kink. But it looks mild enough that I'm hoping, with taking suggestions from some of our guests today, actually, to let it do lots of crawling and movement, and hopefully that'll help work out the kink. So as long as it can eat and poop normally, then hopefully it'll be a great pet. But they're all so pretty. I'm so proud. So,
Awesome.
I know. So I'm doing great. And I'm excited for our show today because we have some really super special guests attended. So, who are we bringing on first?
Well, we've got a couple of slides. A reminder for you have until June 1st to do more pick 4s.
Yeah.
So after that, we're not sure. There might be a little bit of time before that some kind of pick 3, 4, 5 will be available on Clutch or Morph Market. So if you want to be able to do a pick 4, get it before June 1st, and don't know for sure when that option will be available, but it should be fairly soon. That way you can pick 3, pick 4, pick 5, and they'll be different prices, and they'll all be cheaper than paying for a panel. So that way you can customize the test that you want for the clutch that you've got. So did we have any other opening slides?
Just the steps here, which we had on our last episode as well. Be sure to take advantage of that, and you can order this in advance before your babies hatch out. So if you're expecting 25 or more tests, email Sean at raregeninc@gmail.com, and he's able to work out like an even bigger discount for you. Just send a spreadsheet, follow the instructions that we just threw up here, and you'll be good to go. But those are all the announcements we've got.
If you don't like spreadsheets, just give him a list in an email and he'll figure it out for you. So
that too.
So before we bring the guests on today, as we've been working on mapping and developing tests for ball python morphs, one thing we've learned is that it's fairly common for what we see as, maybe one thing like albino or ultramel or yellow belly actually ends up being multiple mutations, and they may look the same, but they're actually different genetic mutations that cause them. And then there's other times where there are things we thought were different, like Phantom and Mystic or Lesser and Butter, called them different things for a long time, but then we end up finding out they're identical. Well, today we wanted to talk about another time where we're seeing there's some more complexity than we knew for sure. There's some ideas, maybe there's something else going on, but we didn't know for sure. Well, now we do because of genetic testing.
So let's talk about what those are. So I'll bring in our guests now.
Yes.
All right. So first we got a friend who's been on here for 2 or 3.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show. That's we got Dr. Travis Wyman, who is also a geneticist. So he and Ben can join their powers together and give us the geneticist explanation. And they're usually pretty
Super
good.
nerd.
It's a layman like me too. So and special guests Sarah, Bruce, and Jody. You can see Sarah on screen. Bruce and Jody are off screen, and they are from Twin Cities Reptile.
Hello.
Hi.
Awesome.
All
So I
right.
just have to get out another congratulations on your clutch. That's
Thank
very
you.
exciting.
I'm
Yes.
so excited. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Love my little
I
rat
told
snakes.
her, try to save one from that clutch. I wasn't able to over all of these years. I did have 3 females from my very first clutch for several years, but I don't still have them now. It's been over 20 years now, and
Fair
they
enough.
ended up going in trades or something eventually. But
Fair enough. Yeah, no, especially if one of those lightnings is a female. I'm gonna, I'll probably keep her.
Keep it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. I've got one of my boas, just a common boa, but I've had her for well over 20. Well over 20. You know, she's a giant slug now, but she's still I love her.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. I mean, that's really special, and she's part of the family at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. So let's talk about this this gene that you guys work with and specialize in.
so
I understand.
I think one good way to do it is to have Travis. He's kind of the one that set up testing. So if you want to talk a little bit about some of the history and bring Sarah, Bruce, and Jody in as well, but just kind of talk with the history and why you decided to have Sarah gather sheds and send them in.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, it kind of was born out of just, one random conversations with Ben as he was doing these testings and things. When the blue-eyed complex data started coming out, I asked if he had been able to get a hold of any of the stuff from some of the alternate, I guess we'll call them, lines of special that are out there. So predominantly the specials that you see out there are the Baker line. But there are 2 other lines that are a little less common, but if you know about them, you know about them. One of those is the NOCO line, and then the other is the TCR Twin City Reptiles line. I remembered the Twin City Reptiles line from all of the conversations in Bush League dealing with it. And, Sarah and Bruce are friends from way back then. So it's really easy to remember, all the stuff that they had going on for me. And part of those conversations was that they looked a little different. So that was part of the reason why they threw that TCR tag on them, because, they thought that they were not quite the same as Tom's original animals, but they didn't want to go, crazy like some people do and just name it their own thing. So it seemed like there was a possibility, at least, of sort of like a Barnhart situation going on with the black pastels, but with the specials. So I asked Ben if he had any data on that. He hadn't. So then I bothered Sarah to get sheds to send in to Ben so that he could run the data on them and see if they were the same or if they actually were a completely different line. And I'll let you take it, Ben.
Yeah. So thank you so much for gathering sheds and sending them in. And I guess another part of the story is, why don't you tell us, Sarah or Bruce, Jody, if you want to jump in, but tell us a little bit how long you all have been breeding, keeping. I think you have a store as well. So maybe tell us a little bit about your history.
Okay, here we go.
Hi, Bruce.
Hello. Back in the day when I was breeding dinosaurs, I had to open a shop. Actually, I've been in business for next month. It'll be 43 years. I've been in the retail reptile business.
And you guys are the longest running brick and mortar, right?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Single owner.
Yeah, longest running single owner brick and mortar reptile shop in the U.S.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. That's cool.
Yes, these guys have been in the game a long time, and
Very, very.
It's funny.
long.
It's funny in a lot of ways in that I talk to people that some of the newer ones, and you mentioned some of the older names. I mean, Tom Crutchfield is still active in it, but you mentioned a lot of different names. You go to somebody that's breeding leeches and say, "Yeah, well, Philippe de Vaugelet," and they're going to say, "Who?" You mentioned, tricolors and Ernie Wagner and various other type people, and like, who are those guys? And like, these are guys that started what you now are taking for granted. But yeah, as a retail store, like I said, I started in '78. I believe my first breedings were probably corn snakes or cow kings.
Yeah, just
I got into the albino cow kings when they first became available. I saw the A-male corn snake when Bernard Bechtel first produced them when I worked for somebody else. That's pretty much where I started and where it's come from. And now business is much better than it was, and things are a lot different than they used to be. We're very basic. Now, certain people all the cages are extremely elaborately set up so you can look in the cage and not see the animal that I'm trying to sell, because certain people like to set them up,
it makes them happy.
Yeah, I get that.
So I might have missed it, but what was the year when you all officially opened?
I started doing mail order sales in '78. Basically, for those that are not familiar with the term mail order sales, no internet, no cell phones. You conducted all your business on Sundays after 5 p.m. if it were phone calls, because that was the cheapest phone rate at $1 a minute to talk to somebody, to place your order or to do business with. We put out basically a 3 or 4 page sheet every couple of months and mail that out, and people would call you and buy what you had. I opened my retail store probably about 1.5 years later.
That's awesome.
Wow. You guys are the OGs.
What's that?
You guys are the OGs.
Yeah, and I can still hear. What can I say?
Yeah.
Either I'm doing something right, or everybody else is doing something wrong. I don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
still here.
Or we're just dumb.
Well, as long as you're happy, either way is fine, right?
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
So, and we were talking a little bit before we started recording. So if I got it right, you ended up with Tom Baker, figured out the special, made a crystal. Is that when you all ended up buying something from Tom?
Yes, Tom produced by accident. Basically, he produced what he called a crystal from his special to a Mojave. I don't know if that was the intent. I would have to go back and check one of my. I still have my email from our first correspondence, but he had I believe he had a yearling and a 2-year-old animal. It was supposed to be a pair, which at the time I purchased both of them with my partner on that particular project was Brent Burns, who used to be a defenseman for the Minnesota Wild. I'm not sure which team he's with now, but him and I went in on that particular pair of animals.
Hurricanes.
Huh?
He's with the Canes.
Okay, I asked the hockey person who he's with. I don't know. But anyway, so I ended up with both those animals and was breeding them. And I brought in a group of wild caught ball pythons, and I had 2 that looked kind of odd. And so I believe it was 2 of them. I raised them up, and I bred them back to Mojaves, thinking, give it a shot. It can't hurt, and that's when I ended up hatching out my crystals. So at the time you had Hypo and Ghost as 2 different names at the time. You had Lesser and Butter as 2 different names at the time. You had this and that you had Mystic and Spectre and all these others, where people were giving everything a different name to market it. And it's like, okay, that's fine. But my animals looked like, and I thought were the same thing, maybe different genetics. This is before you guys even started the business, your type of business. And I talked to Tom and I said, hey, I want to call these things TCR crystals just to eliminate confusion that it's something totally new. It's this and that. We don't know what the genealogy is, but we know color-wise it looks the same. And I'd like to keep the name. I don't want to turn around and quote-unquote bastardize it by coming up with something that's new and special with it. Bad pun there. So and he said he was fine with it at the time. So I just call them TCR specials to separate the lineage, but trying to keep things the same.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then as I grew them up, I started trying to produce them to each other, or bred them to each other to try and produce super specials, TCR super specials, separate from the Baker super special and or the Baker crystal.
Right on. And I think we have some pictures of those, right, Kayla?
I believe so.
Yeah. We got a, well, your, like the original TCR special, what you referred to, and a TCR special Mojave, where you started to pair those up, which I love that coloration. Like, are the little, are the little circles on it kind of a normal thing with the special Mojave mixes, or because I love how the alien heads just have a little hole in them instead of little eyes.
Yeah, they definitely are, a bit different. I don't know if that's just because of, I can't say if it's from the Mojave side of it or from the special side of it, but they definitely have a bit of an aberrant pattern, no doubt about it. And
Yeah.
Once you get into the TCR super specials, they're definitely a different pattern anomaly, and then the color on the TCR super specials are just bright orange. They definitely have a different color sequence to them.
There's one.
So,
there we go. TCR super special.
Right. And that's unfortunately
it's not a great picture.
Jody's on the side here saying, yeah, and that's not even a good picture. And he's right. They're just so much more sherbet orange than
there's one.
Than the duller orange. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, that's almost a flashed out picture.
Yeah, but no, I can see where that brighter orange is running down the back, and it's really pretty. I like the darker head too. That kind of like ties it together for me.
Yeah.
You want to go that one?
Yeah. What can you tell us about the let's see. We didn't put these pictures in any order. We just kind of had them, in a list.
And you're going to expect me to remember, huh?
Okay. We got the pastel TCR special Mojave.
Right.
What can you tell us about that one?
Pastel TCR special, just I guess you would assume to be a pastel crystal, since it has the Mojave in it, but we're not exactly sure. And again, some of these just freaky animals pop out. Again, you can produce a clutch of one thing, and they all kind of look the same, but then 6 months later, a year later, this one's gone dark, this one's gone light, this one's got alien heads, this one's oscillated, yet they're all 100% siblings. So they throw different ways. And, it's a tough one to figure out. I look at, this should look like this, and then this should look like that. And here's an example. I'm going to step away for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Jody is, okay. This
here, I'm going to get out of the way so that we can.
Okay. This, I don't know if we can get it a zoom, but this is our super
TCR Super Special 2019.
Yeah.
19
and
super
of course
special.
It's not.
If you bring it closer to the camera, it might.
Yeah. Oh, I can see. There we go.
There we go.
Oh, I like that. And it's like almost like those super faded patterns on the sides, but they're more distinct on the back.
It's that cream and then that really nice
Hold that
orange.
Up.
Yeah.
There's a 23. Late 23.
Oh, I like. Yeah.
Pretty.
Same thing, and it looks like it's a darker orange. And does that seem to lighten up with age?
Yeah, it seems to.
A little bit. Oh. Yeah.
Interesting.
But again, it's got more of that. Like I say, not the smaller one shows it more than the bigger one. It definitely has that sherbet kind of orange to it.
Get a little closer to the camera.
Yeah.
It's washing out. Yeah. Yeah, and then it washes out again. Sorry.
Well, it's okay.
No worries.
But yeah, it kind of shows you kind of get the idea of the
Mhm.
color change, lightening up, darkening up, doing
The
what it
different-
like. They just do that.
The difference between that and the pictures of them where you get too much flash, not enough. Again, not the best camera pictures, but there's a difference in.
But
I think a good analogy way to think about it for a lot of people is like sort of the difference between a highway and a freeway.
try to get that in.
You know,
Okay.
they look very similar, just kind of on a brief overview.
Mhm.
But as they age, they definitely age very differently. The highways, they get more lighter and kind of push towards the ivory side of things with a more pronounced stripe, whereas the freeways tend to be a little bit darker. It's kind of what we see with these TCR specials, super specials, and TCR crystals is versus the Baker line. They tend to age a little bit more on the colorful side instead of the faded down side.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Very cool.
And speaking of interesting stuff they've produced with this line, why don't you get that last picture, I think, of the ones from this morning? Yeah, there you go.
This one right here. Yeah, it's like almost a sunset looking animal.
The key factor here being that TCR does not work with sunset and does not have any sunset animals in their collection.
Right.
Right. Yeah. And it did not test positive for sunset. So
Yeah. Very interesting. So it's possible that you have another line of sunset that's a different mutation in the same gene, or this is some kind of combination that looks like a sunset. But I guess to this point, this is the only one you all have produced like this, though.
correct.
And it's one of those animals, as far as I personally, and I'm joking here. Well, Brian Barczyk created Sunset. God rest his soul. He was a great breeder and a great friend. So to be smart alecky, so to speak, if we were to produce more of these, do we call it Sunrise? Something totally different or a spin-off. But now, if we were to produce more of these animals, the first thing I would do is I would contact Lori Barczyk, his widow, and ask her if we can use this as we call it a TCR Sunset. I'd want to put a shop name on it, but I want to put respect to the man that first named it. That's just the way I play it.
That's really noble. I like that.
Time will tell.
Yeah.
Ben will tell.
Ben will tell.
What will I tell?
You'll be the one to tell us if these are the same or not, or not the same, because obviously it didn't test positive. But if it's the same gene, you'll be able to interrogate more and find out if the gene
going on with
it's a different allele.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we will definitely be excited to play with that. That'll be really interesting if you breed it to a sunset or het sunset, or you breed it to an offspring in the future or whatever and prove that out. That'll be really interesting to see.
And so you sent us these pictures right before we went on. So what's pardon the pun, what's special with these guys?
Those are actually combination animals, Baker to TCR. Yeah, you get a little bit of
who influenced,
a little bit of both. Yeah.
Who influenced what influenced who?
Yeah.
And then you've
so
got
same
pinstripe and pastel also in the mix, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, it was a what to what?
It was a TCR pastel crystal bred to a Baker special pinstripe.
There we go.
Whatever he said.
Cool.
I like the peachy orangey look on the one on the right.
Yeah.
Really neat.
That would definitely be a TCR influence because those do come out so much. I've always said it. They come out so much more amberish, orangish, whatever word you want to use. Mm-hmm. The TCR and the NOCO. Sherbert.
Ice cream. I like ice cream.
Yes. TCR and
NOCO.
Here's me not saying anything. NOCO. Both have that much more orange look to them than the Baker does, where they're a lot more. The Baker line is a really nice yellow, but yeah, if you want, it's a little darker and orange on the other on ours. Yeah.
I've also felt that Baker line, in addition to having that yellow, also has sort of an undercut of, I guess, purple to it.
Yeah,
And
well,
yours aren't quite as intensely purple, like you said. They lean more towards that apricot sherbety look.
Yeah.
And you brought up NOCO, which is, we mentioned it very briefly at the beginning. The NOCO line is another line of specials. Marshall Van Thorn with Northern Colorado Reptiles, NOCO Reptiles, had his line of specials. Very similar situation to Bruce and Sarah, where they had these bush baby. He had a bush baby, and he bred it to a Mojave and popped out a crystal looking type thing. And so he started calling his NOCO specials. I don't know if he ever talked with Tom, and had a similar conversation with Tom that like Bruce had, but his animals as specials look very similar to the TCR special. And the TCR crystals. So there is speculation that maybe Marshall's animals and TCR animals are genetically the same. I think, Ben, you said you've only ever gotten one NOCO shed.
Yeah.
And it tested negative for Barker, so it's not a Barker. We know it's genetically not Barker, but we still don't know what else it could be.
Yeah. So from the genetic testing side, the Baker line special, which is a test that Dr. Hannah Seidel designed along with her students for the Blue-Eyed Lucy complex. So all of the TCR animals and, well, actually, I guess in the end we ended up having a couple that tested positive. But the TCR animals, and then the one NOCO line that we've run are negative. So they are genetically different from each other. So the Baker is one lineage, and then both TCR and NOCO test negative for Baker. Now, whether those two are the same, I don't know yet, but that's something I'll definitely look at. And I have enough sheds from TCR to be able to figure out more about TCR. I definitely need more NOCO line. And I know there are a couple of people that have some and have produced super NOCO specials that are going to get sheds to me. So we'll iron it out. But like I was talking about earlier before I brought y'all on, that it's interesting. There's some idea sometimes that maybe there's something else going on, but this is an instance where we definitely have at least two different lines, and there's a possibility there's three. And now we know that because of the genetic testing. So it's kind of fun to be able to add that level of certainty to what it sounds like you all have been wondering about for several years. And so these are all super specials.
These are
or one's a
super special, and crystal. It looks like.
Yeah. So the one on the right is a Baker pastel crystal.
Yeah.
And then we've got a NOCO super special in the middle and a TCR super special on the left. So Very cool.
That'll be cool to find out. I mean, they definitely look related.
We should get the head about. Okay, just for grin, just to kind of throw a wrench in this whole thing here. This is from a.
This is a baby from a super blackhead, pastel, yellow belly, red gene, ringer gene, bred to a champagne het hypo. So I have my guesses, but it's just going to be easier to send you guys this shred.
Let me see if I can get it to stick its little head out.
That's always the trick, isn't it? Oh,
awesome.
Hold still. Now
I got an adventure.
Pretty good chance there's champagne and blackhead in there. I guess from super blackhead.
Yeah, look at that.
It almost looks like it may have some kind of mosaicism going on.
It just refuses. Yeah, it's got like a almost
what
do you say, chimera?
Yeah, bilateral split down it.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting.
Very cool.
Oh, I love that.
And again, when you're not into genetics, as you guys are, it's like, what the freaking.
What?
It's like, what is going on there?
With a three-way split divided by a two-way up the side. Okay, fine. It's a ball python.
It's a ball python.
Now, I have told them, because I don't do I don't do a whole
Cheers.
lot with the ball pythons. I work a lot more with the colubrids, and I've told them, I said, you get to the point now without you guys, obviously, like you can do a shed test, you can say what it is, just put down what the pairing was and let people figure it out themselves.
Yeah.
This is mom, this is dad, here's the babies, there you go. Because with a lot of the corns, kings, blah, blah, you get to the point where it's like, that wasn't supposed to be in there. I have no idea. Here it is. Here's what the parents were supposed to be. Good enough. Figure it out. Give me $50.
Perfect.
I bred this pinstripe and this pinstripe, and I have this white baby.
Yeah. So, yeah. This is where you come in.
All part of the fun.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. Although that kind of fun I want with variable kings.
Oh yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that one is, yeah, no. Do they take like 2 years to mature, or do they take longer?
Personally, I won't breed those until they're like 4,
Gotcha.
ish. I like to grow my stuff up a lot more. I don't like to go as soon as they're ready. I like to let them grow up,
Same
let
here.
them fully develop, let them do all that. I don't want to like, okay, you're exactly this many grams, let's go. No, I don't care, because you can grow them up too fast. And I personally, I don't like that, because that's when you're going to end up with egg-bound animals. They're too fat. They've got no muscle tone. You've just been pounding rats in them since they came out of the egg, and it's no bueno. So, yeah, I grow them up.
Yeah. It definitely makes it that much more of a like, oh my gosh, grow up. But you also like, I want you to take your time. And so I understand that with my rat snakes, like 3 is kind of the earliest you want to go. So I feel that. Especially with variable kings, there is so much more going on just because, of what they are, variable kings. So that sounds like a fun project.
They're always fun. They're always
yeah.
fun.
Same with American night snakes. She breeds them every other year. She won't breed them 2 years in a row.
If you breed them yearly, they'll roll. Like the females can't take it. You have to give them
time.
Yeah.
We do that. We don't. A lot of people produce all year round, and I'm not knocking anybody that does. Some of the bigger guys, it's their business, it's their income, and I totally understand it. Our stores are income, and anything we produce is part of the income. But we've got our ball pythons set up basically in 2 different groups, and we have 2 groups in each group, so to speak. So A and C group gets bred this year or last breeding season. B and D will get bred the following season. The next season after that will be A and C again. So we give every female basically a full season off. We don't stuff them, we don't starve them, and people have ball pythons they bred 10, 12, 15 years in a row and never had an issue. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but we just don't feel that we have to. We have a decent enough size collection that we can just give them the year off and not have to worry about pounding them back up to size.
Good. That's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
20-year-old ball pythons.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Very cool. All right. I think that's all the slides that we had. So was there anything else we wanted to go over?
Not that I can think of. I think it's worth pointing out. It's pretty awesome. We have someone that's been working in the reptile industry since 1978, and then someone else that just had their very first clutch in one show. That's pretty.
Yeah,
that's true. I think my first clutch was probably corn snakes. So the fact that you just got your first one is, I think I still have a Polaroid of an adult corn snake on a branch in a 10-gallon tank with a homemade wood cover.
Yeah.
I took that picture in probably 76.
Oh,
Most of you are probably born. But anyway, that tells you how old I've been at it. But congratulations. I mean, again, it's like the most, well, it's only this or it's only that. It doesn't matter how the dollar value is very important to you. And that's what matters.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they're black rat snakes. They're not super sought after. You know, they might go for like $200 at the high end, but it doesn't matter. They are happy, healthy, and I am loving every minute of it. So
Yeah, the normal rat snakes and king snakes that certain people just love to breed and don't care. It's like, look what I got, look what I got. Anole eggs, lizard eggs. Look,
Yeah.
we just got baby house geckos. Isn't that great?
They're adorable.
They are.
And the thing is, we need more captive breeding of some of these, like, quote unquote cheap garbage animals.
Yeah.
Really need to be bred. And if you look at something as silly as the green anoles, well, the browns are taking over Florida, and the greens are not as common as they used to be. And they're not these like garbage animals. Really, if you bioactive is the thing now, right? Like we've seen all these different phases going through, but bioactive, if you're gonna have bioactive, green anoles, house geckos, the Sakashima grass lizards, all these different things work so well for those. And if you spend the time with them and you want something that's going to be out during the day and interactive, and no offense to anybody at all, but that is not a ball python, right? Like, your pet rock. But those are fun, and they should be worked with a lot more, really. I mean,
And
but
you
people
have
don't
to
because
trust
they're
yourself.
cheap,
But cheap should be, I don't want to say the way to go, but it shouldn't be as frowned upon as it generally, like, there is people have made this analogy a lot of times with the reptile industry. If you compare us to like the fish industry, we're the exact opposite. We buy a $10,000 steak and stick it in the cheapest damn thing we can find, which is a plastic sweater box.
Yeah.
The fish people spend $10,000 on an aquarium, and then they put a $5 fish in that aquarium.
They really do.
and quite frankly, that $5 fish in that $10,000 aquarium is so much more aesthetically pleasing to be able to sit and look at. And I have, if I flip my computer around, I've got 2 6-foot cages and 3 4-foot cages on the other side of the screen here, and they're full of bromeliads and cork bark and tree stems and plants and everything.
Your setup is awesome.
As Bruce said, I can't see the animals 90% of the time. But also, I don't care, because when I do see them, it's so much more satisfying. When my black milk snake just comes peering out of her little log and looks around and then slowly makes her way around, and like, she feels natural. She's happy.
Yeah.
When my Candoya are popping out from their little, their cork bark wall and looking around, that's awesome. It's going to be horrible for me in like 5 or 6 months, because I know that at least 2 of them are gravid, and when I have a whole bunch of little baby Candoya in there, I'm going to cry, making sure that I have all of them. But it's so much more satisfying to be able to sit here and just have that all in the background while I'm talking to you guys, than to go into the room where the ball pythons are and just be like, yep, here's a drawer, yep, here's a drawer, yep, here's a drawer. It almost means more when you've got these cages, and it shouldn't matter what's in it. And it puts people in touch more with the natural world. And I think that's kind of how we all got started in this is, I found a lizard in the backyard. I found a snake in the backyard. I found a toad in the backyard. It was that little wild creature in the backyard. It wasn't I found something pretty that I wanted to display, but not really. I just wanted to display it to myself. You keep gemstones locked in a box so you can look at them for your own edification. But for this natural wonder that we all love, encourage people to just, get green anoles and have a tank full of green anoles and be happy about it, because they bounce around in little fun things.
It makes sense to have some of both.
Exactly. Yeah.
This past weekend, after how many years, right? This one is out mowing the lawn, stops the lawnmower, comes out to me on the deck, comes walking across the yard up to me like this, going, look, and I actually found a big toad. It's always the little babies. Like, he was so excited about the toad in the yard.
Awesome.
And I'm like, yep.
We live in
Cool,
one of the suburb cities, and an eighth of a mile away is a area where the university does plantings and stuff. And there's a couple of people around that have ponds in their yard, but there's really not much in the way of standing water. And for the last like 4 years, I've managed to find one thumbnail-sized toad while I'm mowing through the season, but only one every season, and it's relatively early still. But I'm out mowing and I'm looking like, wait a minute, this looks like a full-grown male. Damn, they are doing good here, you know. Just
Awesome.
Cut it loose. But just the idea that, you know, I mean, I sell toads in the store, but the fact that it was a wild one within the city and thriving, I thought was great.
Yeah, I have a meme for this. Hang on. There we go.
Yeah. Thanks. I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, that's definitely me. You know, I'm the same way. I find a toad, or I'll find a pickerel frog sitting in my pitcher plant bog. And it's just like, whoa!
Right.
Oh, Travis, you don't find anything but fungus.
That's all. Yes, when I go out looking for herps, all I find are fungus, man.
Yeah.
You need to go out looking for mushrooms specifically.
And you'll
That's all you
find
want to find.
Herps.
Yep.
Yeah. This past weekend, for those of you that don't follow me on social media, I went out with the Virginia Herpetological Society to do their spring survey up at Sweet Run State Park. And it was a very kind of rainy morning, and it stayed cool most of the day. And the little small group of it that I was with, we found like, I think 4 ringnecks, a redback, 3 American toads, and something else.
Awesome.
But like, you know, they're all awesome little critters, and it was awesome to see all of them. But you know, in that same time period, I was finding mushrooms and fungus and, you know, witch's butter and tree ears, and I'm all over the place. And it's just like, well, here's another mushroom. Got to take a picture of it because it's cool.
But I have the pictures. Can I pull up the pictures?
Sure, if you want.
Yeah.
So I guess you weren't one of the ones that found the actual animals.
I didn't find any of the actual animals, no,
because they weren't sitting on fungus.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
they're good ones.
All these cool, you know, oddball fungus, and this is what happens to me every time I go out herping. Like, you know, I will always find a redback salamander or two, maybe a toad, but then it's just like scads and scads and scads of all these weird fungi. And so, you know, I guess I need to join the mycology club and go out with them, and I'll start finding herps.
There you go.
There you go.
I do have one more question. I think be kind of I am very interested to hear what Sarah and Bruce, what you say to this, but maybe both of you give us an idea. You know, sometimes we'll ask people, you know, what's changed over the years, but I want to ask you, what do you think, whether it's from a breeding or a business standpoint, what do you think has stayed the same, has been one of the most important things about, you know, being a good breeder or being a good sales, you know, staying alive in sales with the reptile industry over all those years?
Not to swear, okay, but be no bullshit. Be straight. Be honest. That is thing number one. Always be very straight with people. And I think if you are, that is going to take care of 99.9% of the problems you could possibly have. And even if it's a negative thing, like, you know, we don't have any spider gene, but even back in the day when that was one of the really big ones, and people, you know, nowadays it's like, you don't need it, don't breed it, it's a problem, you know. But you have to, if you go back 15 years, 20 years, whatever, like spider was huge and it did all these, and it's still,
I remember when they were 25, 35 grand a piece.
Right. And so you always had to be like, hey, even if this thing does not show it, it has a wobble. And we always said neurological. And of course, now they say, no, it's actually an inner ear thing, blah, 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 blah. There's something with the structure of the inner ear, whatever.
The inner ear structure is different. So technically it'd be like a
Interesting.
balance issue. But
Yeah. So it's not actually a neuro thing. It's anyway, like when you get an ear infection, you're like, oh, I'm a little blip. But you have to like say that, point it out, make sure that they know. So then it's on them to make the decision on whether they wanted to deal with that or not. It's anything at all. I would say that is a thing that has stayed 100% true through the entire thing, is always just make sure that, he has said since for the past 40 some odd years, almost 50 years, the facts, not the hype. And it still holds true.
Awesome.
I could have made a lot of, I guess I would say, potentially great sales, and big money sales, which a lot of people have done. And I've been envious of them because they made these big sales, but at the same time, it's like they made a sale. The customer didn't make a purchase.
Yeah.
It's a joke, kind of a joke saying, but I had it early on. It's like, we don't sell animals. We allow people to buy them. And that's not said with chauvinistic attitude at all. It's like, if they don't want to really buy it, I'm not going to shove it down their throat. I'm not going to have somebody come in with a bankroll of money and sell them $1,000 worth of stuff because he's got a bankroll for their all. But at the same time, if they come in with a pet carrier, I'm not going to want to sell them that annul either. But it's just, being honest, just doing a little bit of homework, doing a bit of research, emphasize that they should do it before, during, or after. Yeah, I don't like losing sales, but I don't want to make sales the wrong way. There's people, as I said, some are around, some are still around, some are not, that made a ton of money more than I did. And I was envious of them, and I still am, but they're not around anymore.
Yep.
They made money, they made hay while the sun was shining, but the sun quit shining. And I've always had it's been kind of overcast off and on, a little bit of sun, a little bit overcast, but, I managed to wade through it. It's just a question of being straight up. I look at stuff, at stuff from a monetary perspective. I give her a hard time like you would not believe about getting, different animals and stuff. But we've got, a lot of people look at square footage of your store, your overhead, this, that. We've got a cage out there that is 6 feet wide, 6 feet tall, 2 feet deep. It's an aviary type cage. It was a bird cage. In it, and we could have them in a rack system like all of our other colubrids. In that cage, we have 4 6-foot cave-dwelling rat snakes. And we have people come in and look and see all the cliffs and stuff. It's like, what's in there? Walk by and say, there's 4 6-foot snakes in there. And all of a sudden it's like, really? And they'll start looking. Oh, I see the one in the corner. I see the one here. And again, we breed them. We're trying to make money out, but it's not a question of, well, we're going to put those in the display. We're going to put those in a rack system along with everything else. We have certain draw animals just to educate. We have a room that has a rhino iguana and 2 large sulcata tortoises, 3 large sulcata tortoises. Sorry.
Ooh.
And people come in and look at them, and and basically, like, they're not for sale, but people say, oh, yeah, well, I was at this swap meet. I saw these cute little baby tortoises. I really wanted to buy one. It's like, that's what
it's turning into.
Or if we have them in the store for sale and people want them, we take them over to that case. Say, can you deal with this in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever they say? No, it's like, then you don't want that baby. So we're actually losing the sale potentially, but if we do sell it, it's an educated sale.
Awesome.
Lose a sale, avoid a problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
And talking about honesty and making big money sales or not, when the banana was huge and people were taking out second mortgages on the house and everything else, we had bananas. When they started coming down and that price just boom, right? While they were on the way down that entire time until they kind of stabilized, we didn't sell any, none, because it was like, well, right now it is $5,000. That's what they're going for. But next month they're going to be probably $3,000. Who knows? I mean, just the way it came down so fast, it was like, well, forget it. We're just sitting on them. We're not doing anything. So I don't want somebody coming back. I mean, pricing is hard enough as it is back then. Oh my Lord. Right. But you don't want anybody coming back saying, hey, you screwed me on this and charged me way too much because now I can get it for, and it's like, well, yeah, but that's now, you know.
It's really no different than a car or anything else,
Yeah.
but it's seen differently.
Yeah. It gets difficult as far as that goes, but
I can certainly see why you all have stayed in business so long. You definitely played the long game. That's really cool, really commendable.
You try. All you can do is really try. You know, try to keep things straight, try to keep the animals happy and healthy. Always have a good working relationship with your vet. You know, so that's a big thing. Have that before you have. We have our vets business cards. Like, you get that when you get an animal. Here you go. Like, there's, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I have so much respect for you guys.
Really, real quickly, throw in. We've been together for quite a few years, and I will honestly say this: as far as the academic part of this, the bookkeeping, the payroll, the scheduling of our employees, and this and that, I've backed off a lot of this. Like I said, 45, 47 years, whatever the heck it's been. I don't want to say I'm getting burnt out, but there's nothing out there that I really haven't seen that I really have a super desire for. So I've done it for so long. I've done it for the 7 days a week, 365 for a number of years. If it weren't for this woman here running the show on the floor, I honestly don't know where the hell we'd be right now. I got to throw that out there.
That's awesome.
I paid him to say that.
I've seen the page.
Worth it.
I want the change back, my $5.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to collect sheds and to send them in, and then also I really appreciate hearing your experiences. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, no problem.
We're going to have, I discussed with Travis and with the rest of you guys down the road, we've got a couple other things that we don't know what's going on with. We need to send to you as well. So
awesome.
More, what the heck is this?
Awesome.
New jeans, possibly.
No, they're new jeans.
Okay. Jody says they're new jeans, but actually I think they're wearing them a while. So wrong jeans.
Puppies last night. They're new.
So yeah, we definitely have some more things in the works potentially. And again, we want to know before we release, hey, this is really cool looking. We're going to call it such and such, but we don't know what it's going to do. Like, so you should buy it for $1 bazillion.
Probably not.
Well, we look forward to running more for you then. That's awesome.
It's appreciated. And I appreciate having us on as well. It's very grateful. Thank you.
Of course. Well, thank you guys so much. Seriously, if you enjoyed today's episode, definitely like, subscribe, share it with others. Lots of really good stuff to take from this video. Good conversations to have about it. So thanks to everybody who joined in. And do y'all have anything else before we call it a day?
That's good.
It's good. All right.
No, I want to go for lunch.
You go for lunch?
Yeah, I want to go for lunch.
Same here. All right.
Have a good one.
Guys. And
have fun with the baby snakes.
I will. Outro in 3, 2, 1.